such a time as this.
And welcome back to Roundtable for such a time as this. Roundtable, for those who are out there, please give me a thumbs up. Let me know we're coming through loud and clear. Roundtable for such a time as this. What other topic should we talk about? Can we talk about other than what's engulfing this country, the abortion issue? And so we have here the title, The Abortion Cult, because there are some weird things going on. I can't quite figure it out 100% other than there's some spiritual forces at play. The abortion cult is real, it is strong, and it needs to be dealt with. So we will here. I've got my gang with me. I have Ben, the Power Couple, Eric and Lisajoy, and then Caleb here with me at Roundtable. Thank you, Roundtable. Anything before we get going? Any what I guess from the Roundtable, what has been you all's, I guess, reaction to what you see with the possibility of the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade?
Just another excuse for them to start rioting.
When you say they, who's
the powers that be?
The powers that be. I hear you.
Yeah, I'm kind of just surprised by all of this news. It just seems like out of nowhere. Because when I was in Florida last week, I was like, "What? This might get overturned." But it almost feels like false hope too. So,
false hope. So you think you think they're going to cave?
I don't know what they're going to do. It sounds like it, but I could be wrong. I hope I'm mistaken.
Don't you think it's kind of interesting that out of all these years that they've had the Supreme Court, all of a sudden we have a leak?
Right.
No, this is the first time in history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First time in history it's
happens. Bizarre.
This is their cult. This is their religion. You think it's planned?
A lot of money at stake.
Oh, yeah.
Money and evil.
It is money. It is evil. And so we're going to get into some of the cult members' statements in their own words. But for all of those who are not aware, there was a leak at the Supreme Court in which a draft was leaked to the public, first time in history it had ever been done. They leaked it saying that the Supreme Court was considering overturning Roe v. Wade. And when that was leaked, the pro-abortion crowd went bonkers. They went crazy. And it's now at a point to where they are actually protesting outside the Supreme Court justices' homes. They're doing it at their homes. They're threatening them at their homes. And it's amazing what is going on. Well, for those of you who don't know, they promised. Chief Justice Roberts promised he was going to do an investigation and that they were going to find out who leaked this. Who leaked this with the attempt to somehow intimidate the Supreme Court justices. And so we're going to start off with the first clip from the man in which I say is at the top of the list. He's at the top of the kill list. He just vaulted to the top. At first it was, who was it? Tucker Carlson was at the top of the list a few weeks ago. Then Elon Musk went to the top of the list when he talked about Twitter. Now it's Dinesh D'Souza who's at the top of the kill list when the Marxists take over. So here's Dinesh D'Souza with his take on where we stand with the issue.
We found out about the imminent overturning of Roe v. Wade and the Supreme Court's ruling on behalf of the state of Mississippi in the Dobbs case. We found out about this from a leak. And upon the leak, there was a lot of speculation. Well, who's the leaker? What's the motive of the leaker? Is it coming from the left? Is it coming from the right? Well, it really doesn't make any sense to be coming from the right. Who's going to leak something like this? It's going to be someone who wants to mobilize public agitation, a public outcry, and put pressure, as they are trying to do now, on the conservative justices to back off, to get scared, to succumb to the mob, if you will. Well, who's going to do that? That's going to come obviously from the left. And so the chief suspects here are Elena Kagan and Kavanaugh. Now, it's not Ketanji Brown Jackson. She's not on the court yet. So it's one of those two or their clerks. Now, that's a very small population of people, and it should be relatively easy to find out who did this. So I find it a little strange that even though for several days apparently there's an investigation into this leaker, the identity of the leaker is not yet known. I suspect it is known, and I suspect that they're trying to figure out. This is the Biden administration. Remember, this is the team that benefits from the leak. This is the team that itself is on the side of the leaker. This is the team that wouldn't mind if there's pressure put on these justices. And so they're probably trying to figure out, how do we sort of diffuse this? How do we not, they don't want news stories, the leaker caught, the leaker, oh, it's Sotomayor. What if Sotomayor's clerks, and Sotomayor gave her tacit blessing. The clerk goes, hey, I asked Sotomayor. She goes, do what you want. She goes, do what you think is right. Who knows what happened here? But, I mean, when I say who knows, they know. I believe they probably know. How can they not know? So they're now dealing with this not as a truth-telling enterprise, like, listen, we better fess up as to who it was, but as a crisis management problem.
So here's the issue. It's only so many people it could be. What? Like he's saying, what's taking so long?
He only named 2 people, and the one person he named, I'm shocked at.
I think he messed up. I think he meant Kagan and because what did he say? He said Kavanaugh.
Keegan and Kavanaugh. Yeah,
no, he meant Keegan and Sotomayor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think he meant Kavanaugh.
No. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I noticed that. I think he made a mistake.
And I've heard rumors that it was Sotomayor's clerk. I heard that.
Me. Yeah,
well,
there was somebody that came out.
It wouldn't take that long to figure it out.
It wouldn't take that long to figure out. And so, like he's saying, what's taking so long? They know. They're trying to hide their identity for as long as they possibly can.
She the liberal one?
Oh yeah.
Sotomayor clerk?
She's way out there.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Oh yeah, she's liberal.
Yeah. She was appointed by Obama too. All goes back to him.
Oh yeah. Well,
everything.
At least that doesn't. So there's a lot of things going on with this abortion stuff that somehow it just, boy, you wonder, you question, you say, what in the world is going on? Where's this coming from? And so the president of the United States of America, I think, Caleb, you're the only one in here who's a fan of Biden, right? You don't know.
I'm not I'm
joking. But Biden, they're doing this. It's almost like a cult. He immediately jumps from the abortion issue to the LGBTQ plus issue. And there's no B. The B stands for bisexual. It doesn't stand for baby. But they make this connection, this weird connection. I'm telling you, it doesn't make sense. It's a cult. It's not reasonable. Look at this.
This is about a lot more than abortion. I hadn't read the whole opinion at that time. But this reminds me of the debate with Robert Bork. Bork believed the only reason you had any inherent rights was because the government gave them to you. If you go back and look at the opening comments of the Bork-Biden when I was questioning him as chairman, I said, I believe I have the rights that I have, not because the government gave them to me, which you believe, but because I'm just a child of God. I exist. I delegated by joining this union here to delegate some obligation, some rights I have to the governments for social good. So the idea that somehow there is an inherent right that there is no right of privacy, that there is no right. And remember the debate we had, you don't remember, but we had a debate about Griswold versus Connecticut. There had been a law saying a married couple could not purchase birth control in the privacy of their own bedroom and use it. Well, that got struck down. Griswold was thought to be a bad decision by Bork, and my guess is the guy's on the Supreme Court now. What happens if you have a state changes the law saying that children who are LGBTQ can't be in classrooms with other children? Is that legit under the way the decision is written? What are the next things that are going to be attacked? Because this MAGA crowd is really the most extreme political organization that's existed in American history, in recent American history.
So I know what's going on. I believe it that they all serve the same master. But you see how he connected that? First of all, Biden put it up there. He's a child of God. You know that's why he has the rights.
Well, I'm trying to figure out who do I talk to say I object, because he said because he's a child of God, he's got the right to determine because of privacy who, if anybody or anything can invade his personal space.
The Griswold,
Well, wait a minute. Just 5 months ago, didn't he have? He was in a position. He wanted to do a mandate.
Try to use logic, Eric. When it comes to the left,
you know,
some always trip up.
My body, my choice. They just ran that over 5 months ago.
Yeah, they did.
Well, they're back to that now.
You can't.
When
you
it's
see, it's
convenient.
just in that area. See, in that area, you don't have body autonomy. But in this area, you do. They're constantly tripping over themselves.
So it depends on what clock you're looking at and what time of the day it is.
Yeah, but he connected this to, and then he says because of the abortion thing is that somehow children of the LGBT, I get these letters mixed up. It's the LGBTQ community. They're going to pass a law saying they can't go to class anymore. Children can't go to class anymore. First of all, why are
No,
children?
they're gonna tell straight kids they can't go to class.
Yeah.
I think he has it mixed up a little bit.
Well, no, he's saying that because the abortion is under attack, then they're going to come for the LGBT.
You're right.
Because this is what the wonderful mayor of Chicago also said. Biden's not the only one who's linking these two issues with LGBTQ and abortion. And just think about it. What does the LGBTQ have on face value with the abortion group? What overlap is there?
Sin.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Sorry.
It's not. You're right. That's what I'm saying. There's no overlapping. The only thing I can think of is that both sides are in vicious rebellion of God. Mm-hmm. They're in vicious rebellion, and the only thing that links them is Leviticus 18. When God lists out the sins by which the nation of Israel is now judging Canaan. And when he lists all those sexual sins tucked away in that is, and they gave their children to Moloch. They sacrificed their children to Moloch. Thus, our round table, what do you call this again? The banner, the thumbnail. So, man, I just, it is tough in our country to see this. I think the abortion cult, the reason why this is so detrimental to them to them is because now it's going to be an issue in elections. And now in elections, they have to make the case with all the science and with all the ultrasounds. Now they're going to have to make the case on a more regular basis why you should vote for them so they can cure their babies. And they don't want to have to make that argument every 2 years. They don't want to. That's why this is such a detriment to them. Because now it puts it back front and center on the election circuit.
And I think they have to push this radical thing through with the media's help, with showing only that side of it, because the majority of people are not for this.
Yeah.
They really are not.
And I think they know it. That's why they're so afraid. That's why they're so threatened by this. Now you have to campaign on the issue. And I think they're afraid. That's why you see such panic. And they've made the calculation they would rather try to threaten and intimidate at least one of the Supreme Court justices to turn it. They're breaking the law, obviously.
Yeah.
But they'd rather risk that than risk this being a campaign issue going forward, because it's really hard to look at those ultrasounds and to defend your position of killing this child.
I've heard so many testimonies of women who have been literally on the table and they see the ultrasound and they get off the table.
Or the heartbeat.
Oh yeah, either
The
one of the
heartbeat
two.
as well.
The heartbeat. Here's what they don't want to see. This picture here. Here's what they don't want to see in campaigns all across the country. Look at that. I made it. Democrats didn't get me. They don't want that. They do not want that in campaign issues, because if you see pictures like this, it's going to hurt their cause.
Well, isn't it the sonogram now? Is that what they call them? Where they show the picture in the womb and then they show it out, and it's like the only difference is a location.
Oh.
And they can actually see the face.
No. Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Those, I think I don't know if those are sonograms or thermograms. I don't know. It's technology is not helping them.
No.
Science is not.
helping
Science
them.
is
They follow
always
the
backs
sandwich,
up the
science.
truth that we know in Scripture already.
But in the clips, here's what I was talking about this earlier today in the office here. It used to be back in the 70s and 80s, they used to debate whether it was life. I don't think they're debating that anymore.
No.
They know it's life. They know flat out it's life.
Well, some of them do not. They call
Very
it
few.
they call it fetuses and what have you. They don't know the details of the process, and they argue off of that. But the problem is if they debate someone who is knowledgeable, particularly somebody who is pro-life on the other side, then they sit there with that frozen face because they don't know what to say or do.
But that's not true, because even Dennis Prager was saying no one comes up to a pregnant woman and asks how your fetus is. They ask, how's the baby? What's the baby? Until they get to a point where they're talking abortion, they never call that a fetus.
Yeah. And again, it seems as though the LGBT crowd, LGBTQ plus whatever crowd, they have to join forces. And so now you have this wonderful mayor down in Chicago who's calling for violence. There seems to be no other way.
Get your guns.
Get your a call to arms. Here it is.
arms.
Tucker Carlson actually does a segment on it. Here it is.
So over in Chicago, Lori Lightfoot heard the message loud and clear. And you know how she responded? She's declared war. Not the war that's already going on in Chicago, where people are shooting each other in the streets, but a war for abortion. Here's the quote. To my friends in the LGBTQ plus community, she wrote, the Supreme Court is coming for us next. This moment has to be a call to arms. Oh, so now Lori Lightfoot likes guns. And she's vowed to use them so that Chicago can remain what she called an abortion oasis. Watch.
If you look around Chicago, we've got a number of states that have the so-called trigger laws that would ban abortion upon the reversal of Roe. So we've seen a substantial increase already, and we're expecting, frankly, an explosion of new cases from women in Wisconsin, Missouri, potentially Michigan, Indiana. I think the list is long, and Chicago is going to be an oasis in the Midwest, and we've got to be ready.
Yeah, childless Lori Lightfoot telling us that the one thing Chicago can do is commit abortion. Famous for abortion, Chicago. We need a new slogan.
That's sad.
It is.
That is sad.
Yeah.
Again, if you just simply look at them, listen to them, they have no argument. They have no reason.
They're going to call
thought out
Chicago
argument.
an oasis.
What oasis?
That is like the farthest.
It's like illegals.
Yeah, that's,
Our oases have been taken out,
yeah.
by the way.
That's what they call Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
Well,
know what's
just like
scary?
for the legals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They'll make the
Sanctuary
same
cities.
argument.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what's scary here? They have no respect for human life, which means if they have no respect for human life, what makes us think that they won't come for Christians next and
No, they
execute them? Like, they're without mercy, so I don't know why we want to sympathize or negotiate with these type of people.
No.
I see them as murderers. I feel like they're not lovers of truth.
No.
And I feel like these people are hell-bent in destroying our culture, our life, and Judeo-Christian values. I have no sympathy for them, and I will not compromise my values for these people. I'm sorry, but there's no love towards that side. I don't care what they think. I don't care.
Ben, this is a baby.
Yeah.
This is a baby.
Yeah.
And this is sad. I made it. Democrats didn't get me. This should be on the campaign trail for every pro-life Republican in the country. The Democrats want to kill babies. And for the life of me, now I'm growing up in the 70s and the 80s, and I'm thinking, if Republicans, when I'm looking at politics, I'm thinking Republicans, why are they not just calling it what it is? It's murder.
Mm-hmm.
You're murdering kids. And I think that not only the Republicans, I think even the church started to play games with the terms.
That's what I
You're
was.
killing
They have.
babies in the womb. That's what you're doing.
Yep.
Don't
Well,
make it
remember
softer than
how
what it
many
is.
months ago before our election where we had these big evangelical leaders shaming people for voting for a guy that was morally corrupt, and it's okay to vote for the other side because you shouldn't be a one issue voter.
Let me tell you,
I just can't even stomach that.
no, I
They
think
should
those
be.
guys,
They're not talking now.
those guys are.
They're not.
They're not Christian
No.
leaders. They're not
No.
Christian leaders. They're wolf in sheep clothing.
Yep.
And I think it's pretty much cleared out, showed in the last few months. Their theology now, that's the same crowd that's embracing critical race theory and the like. They're wolves in sheep clothing, and they have been exposed. But again, if you look at it, the left and this abortion cult. One of the things, this is the next video. It shows you who they are. There's no argument. They just get emotional. They get enraged, and they get angry. And here you have a situation on Fox News, this roundtable, and when one of the guests, Greg, starts to go on, Geraldo Rivera is nuts.
Right.
Yeah.
And he goes off, and I'm thinking, how can you guys continue to be friends when Geraldo will do things like this?
Crazy, now that I'm on my soapbox, is it used to be even the pro-choicers would admit that abortion was an ugly thing, but they felt it had to be a necessary evil, something that would be safe and rare. That was the argument you always heard.
Yeah.
But now when you go anywhere on social media, it's something to celebrate, to cherish, right? The unborn to shout.
That's baloney.
No, well,
That's baloney.
I'll give you
Cherish
evidence.
the wire hanger stuck up their privates, trying to get what? Come on.
The unborn child.
Come on. That's
the unborn
the
child
world
becomes
before Roe.
This is exactly what I expected. They bring out the old
You
coat
are
hanger.
arrogant.
Go for it, Geraldo. Come on, keep going.
Okay, Joey.
You're making a fool of yourself.
On this.
Don't you? You know something?
What?
You insulting punk.
Okay. Oh, what? Am I your new Bongino?
Go. If you want that role.
Joey, you've sat here so patiently, Joe.
So
Wow.
they just get angry. There's no reasoning.
No. Name calling.
There's no lot. Just
Name
he
calling.
gets angry, emotional, and name calling. No, Geraldo, what he said was absolutely true.
Yeah.
Bill Clinton campaigned on that. Safe, legal, and rare. That was the things that Bill Clinton used to say when he ran for president in '92. So
And they knew they
what
weren't
the heck
true
is
back
Geraldo?
then.
Of course they didn't know it. But he had to sell it. He had to lie to us.
Yeah.
He had to lie to people.
No,
He
they're
had-
not lying
He had
anymore.
to soothe the Democrats' consciences by saying, "Hey, safe, rare, and legal, safe and rare."
Yeah.
He that was
There was
his,
a clump
he ran
of
on it.
cells back
Yeah.
in the 70s.
And
No,
they,
but at least but even then it was something that was supposed to be rare. Now they celebrate it. Everything Greg said was true. I don't even know what Geraldo was arguing about.
All he said was baloney.
Yeah, that's all.
But the truth
didn't
is, the
explain what was
fact
baloney.
was and is
doesn't
they
either.
have turned this into normal operating procedure.
Mm-hmm.
And they all
What they used to say was, and I remember this quote, we shouldn't legislate morality.
Mm-hmm.
That was the quote.
But they've done that. That's exactly what they've
That's
done.
exactly what's going on now.
That is the perfect segue to the next video. Eric's one of Eric's favorite persons, Stacey Abrams, actually
You really
weighs
like
in.
teasing him, don't you?
Help me, Jesus.
Actually weighs in, and this woman talks about just look at it. We might have to play this clip twice because this is amazing. Here's the first one. Here we go.
This is not a conversation for politicians. This is a conversation between a doctor and a pregnant person, a pregnant woman, to have the conversation with her doctor and her family about what makes sense. I don't even say I evolved. I call myself a converted. And I come to this with the zeal of the converted because I understand the concerns that people have. But Martin Luther King Jr. once said that he cannot segregate his moral concerns. You cannot believe that it is okay to steal the ability of women to have bodily autonomy and say that you believe in human and civil rights. I cannot do that. And as governor, I will not do that.
You know what? I agree with her. I agree with her, and I agree with Martin Luther King.
But what she's doing, no.
Did you hear her mess up? Did you hear her mess up on her wording?
What'd she say?
We were talking about men could have babies too. She said a person or woman. Then she says woman. All of a sudden it's women's rights.
Yeah, but
about a week or month ago, we were talking about, and they're still talking about putting tampons in the boys' rooms.
Yeah.
And I go, seriously? Men can have, the women, transgender, and then now it's all of a sudden women.
Yeah, but she's talking about that moral clarity stuff.
Oh.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Yeah, that moral clarity thing.
Montoya.
Yeah. And the famous words of Montoya.
Inigo Montoya.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Yeah, so
My favorite movie.
She actually made the case that the morality lies with the woman choosing to murder her baby.
Right.
Over and above the morality of saving the life of the baby. It's like, see, and this is exactly what they don't want. They don't want the issue front and center because then they would be forced to defend it.
Yeah.
They would be forced to use logic, which they can't. So watch. She tries to incite Martin Luther King, first of all. And then she says the bigger morality in all this issue is giving the woman the right to murder her child. You know what? The woman did have freedom. She had freedom not to lay down with a man and make the baby.
Yep.
So they want that freedom, and they also want the freedom again. But again, look at the twisted logic here, and this is what terrifies them, that they would have to go on television and make dumb statements like this.
This is not a conversation for politicians. This is a conversation between a doctor and a pregnant person, a pregnant woman, to have the conversation with her doctor and her family about what makes sense. I don't even say I evolved. I call myself a converted. And I come to this with the zeal of the converted because I understand the concerns that people have. But Martin Luther King Jr. once said that he cannot segregate his moral concerns. You cannot believe that it is okay to steal the ability of women to have bodily autonomy and say that you believe in human and civil rights. I cannot do that. And as governor, I will not do that.
The irony in that, bodily autonomy, the irony of that is just amazing. And again, this issue will be forced to the front, and they will be forced to make dumb statements like that. It is unbelievable.
Well, they make the statement sound like it makes sense unless you think about it.
Yeah,
bodily autonomy.
They try they try.
But if you break that down, bodily autonomy, basically what you're saying is, I have the right to decide what's good for my body. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Because if you look at it the wrong way, that is the definition of sin. You don't get the right to kill a child that you're carrying.
And it's not your body.
No.
It's not
your body at all.
It's not your body.
I'm really surprised that she didn't use the words rape or incest.
Oh, it's coming.
Or no, I'm just surprised in that segment because
she doesn't. Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying.
In the segment, because it seems like to me that that's their only argument, like that they have now is, oh, well, what happens in a rape situation or what happens in incest?
And they used to do that. They're not doing it anymore.
No, because
there's too many people speaking up. You know, my friend Kathy Barnett, I had no idea, and she's running for Congress in Pennsylvania. She was the production of a rape, and her mom carried her. I had no idea. She said, "I'm thankful every day that my mom didn't, you know."
And there's
so here's why they don't do incest and rape. What about incest and rape? Here's why, because I think they picked up on it. People started to get wise. Okay, I tell you what. Let's agree to ban abortion, except incest and rape, and then we can debate about that. Oh no, we don't want to do that. We don't do that. Because the truth is, they don't care about incest and rape. No. They want it in any circumstances.
Yep.
Anything.
Situations.
So, any situations.
Yeah, any.
So they don't even make the argument about incest and rape anymore. For the most part, I don't hear it anymore.
And the percentage of those
I don't hear it
so
anymore.
low.
It's so, and they know it.
Low.
And they know it.
So
That's
low.
why they don't even make the argument anymore.
Well, if you I don't know if you've ever heard of the name Brett Weinstein or popular atheistic humanist philosophers out there. They typically go to this argument. More prominent atheistic philosophers, they tend to lean more this way because they feel that they have a better scientific argument with incest and rape. And so it's mainstream. It's probably not used, but more inside
in some cases,
inside more progressive philosophical areas. There's use of rape is still very consistent in those areas.
Yeah, they may bring it up here and there, but that's not
right. Like you were saying, in the mainstream, it's probably very
because they know it's very, very low. And so what they tried to do is what they should have done in the first place, if they really wanted it, they tried to pass a federal law protecting abortion. Guess what? They can't do it. They tried and they couldn't. So you have Senator Manchin, who's responsible to West Virginia, and those hillbillies don't play that in West Virginia because you know what? They're too smart to reason that it's not a baby. They know it's a baby, as we all do. And here's why they need Roe v. Wade to keep it out of the debate, because here's what happened. They debated it in the Senate, and here's what Democratic Joe Manchin said today.
The bill we have today to vote on, the Women's Health Protection Act, and I respect people who support, but don't make no mistake, it is not Roe v. Wade codification. It's an expansion. It wipes 500 state laws off the books. It expands abortion. And with that, that's not where we are today. We should not be dividing this country further than we're already divided. And it's really the politics of Congress that's dividing the country. It's not the people. They're telling us what they want. And it's just disappointing that we're going to be voting on a piece of legislation which I will not vote for today.
They're telling us what they want. Oh, Joe, what are the people in the United States telling us? They don't want abortion.
No.
That was the Democratic Senator Joe Manchin.
Yeah.
Because the tide has turned when it comes to abortion in this country.
I wanted to say one comment because you were talking about an atheist. Not all atheists are are for abortion.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. There's this debate. I'm just saying in certain higher educational, philosophical, like
Debates.
they still use that argument of incest and
Well,
rape.
I was really surprised though, because I talked to a Catholic person that had been out there, picketing, and she was shocked to find that a lot of atheists are pro-life, because if you're only going to have one chance, seriously,
Really?
I have a friend that was and they were like, no, it's murder. Why should you? And they would say it. And I have Christian friends that won't call it that. I was like,
I know.
Wow.
I know. But atheists back in the 70s, 80s, atheists, because they rejected God, even rejected the whole pro-life thing. Atheists used to be
they would
firmly
say
in
they're
the camp
pro-life,
of pro-choice.
but they were not for abortion. A lot of them are not.
Even
for
back
abortion.
in the 70s and 80s?
I don't know about that.
That's what I'm saying. I think back then
I'm saying currently, I know of people that would hold that view that go, no, if you're only having one shot at life, you should have a shot at life. Why should someone take it away?
Yeah. But again, they don't want it. Why? Because the left has to come up with these convoluted, crazy, off-the-wall, nonsensical arguments for abortion. And one of my favorite places to go now for the liberals, they messed up. They messed up and went after this woman, Libs of TikTok. So I go to Libs of TikTok all the time, because all the lady does is show the libs in their own words. She offers no commentary. She just simply says, you know what? You guys are foolish enough. I don't have to add any commentary. So all she does is compile a whole bunch of videos off of libs. And look what the libs from the libs of TikTok, which she's compiled, look at the arguments they have to make for abortion. It's insane.
So let's talk about this, because I think yes and no. This is kind of where I lose their plot line a little bit. So if you have some more insight into this, I think it would be great to hear it. But here's the thing. Yes, I absolutely do believe that this is in large part about white supremacy and wanting more white babies to be born so that white people can preserve their majority. The problem is it's not going to do that, because this is disproportionately going to affect brown and black women who are less likely to have the resources to travel to other states or to other countries to get the medical care that they need. And thus, more black and brown women are going to be forced to give birth that don't want to give birth. And that's going to entrap more black and brown people into foster care, because black and brown babies are harder to get adopted. There are absolutely white women and white families out there that want to adopt black and brown babies for the virtue signaling and the white savior complex. But most of them are going to wind up in foster care, which I guess then would mean that more white babies for the white families to adopt and more black and brown babies to entrap in poverty so that they can be abused for their labor later in life, I'm guessing. But yeah, no matter what, it sucks and it's stupid.
So there you go.
You have to do a deep dive to think about that one.
Yeah, and to white people, darned if you do, darned if you don't. Because you know why? It's so hard for whites to adopt black babies. They don't want the black babies. And even if they do adopt black babies, it's virtual signaling. So darned if you do, darned if you don't. You're just evil whether you adopt black kids, or you don't adopt black kids. And it's just
so we should
unbelievable.
Kill them.
So kill them. Yes, there you go. That is the inference, right? It's better to kill them. Well, I tell you what. Ask anybody. What would you rather have, life or no life? That's what you're saying. But how does she? The logic is tortured at best. She admits that abortion, and in that she admits abortion affects which people the most? Blacks. Because the abortion clinics are in black neighborhoods.
Oh yeah,
she
for a
admitted
reason.
it.
Margaret Sanger planned it that way.
Yeah, she admitted it.
Yeah, it's all about racism.
Yeah, from the wrong side though.
There have been 92 million abortions of children of color. 92 million. Wow.
Think about if we didn't
this
have
started.
abortion, where our population would be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
I want to bring this up. Think about all the young girls that have taken the vaccine and how it could possibly affect them producing children.
Yep.
I mean, think about that too.
That's
And-
every color.
and how evil you have to be in order to think about as a mother knowing this is a possibility, forcing your daughter to take a shot. It's evil. I'm sorry, it's evil.
Caleb, they force their daughters to get abortions.
Yep.
I know it is so evil, and just to think about how that I would view that in itself as a form of abortion, not being able to bear life because of a shot.
Yep.
Some people say that was a big part of the shot
Yep.
to curb
I
population.
wouldn't be
Yep.
surprised.
Yep.
And
Look
it's
who's
evil.
behind it all.
It's evil.
It is.
Yeah.
And then the when you think about abortion and what they do to the fetal parts and everything, you know,
Who made that
it's
quote?
crazy. No, it was, you know what? That was something I put up on Facebook. It was Ben Carson. It was a Ben Carson quote that said, here, I'm going to try to find it. He was talking about, well, if it's not a human, then why are you harvesting parts?
Of course.
That was the whole point.
Listen, the same crowd that'll tell you is not human is the same crowd that will fine you if you destroy an eagle egg.
Yep.
Or an egg of a rare bird. Again, there's no logic. And so you even have the best and the brightest. Janet Yellen, did you see that when she was talking to Senator Scott? Again, this is supposed to be the best they have. And even the things that she admits is just terrible.
That's supposed to be logic. Her response was supposed to be logic.
Supposed to be.
So why do we even listen to these people? Like
we don't.
We
I
should.
don't.
I mean, we should not give them a time of day because again, I
Turn
go
off
back
the
to what I
TV.
made earlier. The statement: they're murderers. They hate God. They're not lovers of truth.
Yeah.
They don't want to know the truth. So, I mean, for me, it's just kind of like, let's just move forward and continue to fight back and
Correct.
not give in because they're not going to give in. They're going to
No.
keep pushing.
No, they're going to keep pushing. And here you have Janet Yellen making the argument. And again, this is why they want Roe v. Wade. Because if it goes back to the states, it becomes a big campaign issue every 2 years, and they'll be forced to try their best to make an argument for killing babies. Here's Janet Yellen. You want to do the quote? You got the quote?
I'm trying to find it because I had
Okay.
posted that one. It was because I
Okay.
know it was a quote from.
Okay.
I'll do it after you show
Okay.
the clip.
Here's Janet Yellen trying to make an argument for
Oh, I have it.
abortion. Go ahead.
If it's not a human being, then why are you harvesting organs from it, Dr. Ben Carson?
Yeah, because they know it's a baby. They know it's human. So here's Janet Yellen trying to make a case from economics, and Senator Scott response. Here it is.
I certainly don't mean to say what I think the effects are in a manner that's harsh. What we're talking about is whether or not women will have the ability to regulate their reproductive situation in ways that will enable them to plan lives that are fulfilling and satisfying for them. And one aspect of a satisfying life is being able to feel that you have the financial resources to raise a child, that the children you bring into the world are wanted, and that you have the ability to take care of them. In many cases, abortions are of teenage women, particularly low income and often black, who aren't in a position to be able to care for children, have unexpected pregnancies, and it deprives them of the ability often to continue their education, to later participate in the workforce. So there is a spillover into labor force participation, but it means that children will grow up in poverty and do worse themselves.
Thank you. Let me just say my time on the topic.
This is the truth.
I'll just simply say that as a guy raised by a black woman in abject poverty, I'm thankful to be here as United States Senator.
And with that one little quote, with that one little quote. So here's she's saying, so they're going to grow up in abject poverty. They're going to struggle. So what is the answer? Kill them.
Right.
I mean, you can use all the fancy words you want, Miss Yellen. That's what you're saying. And mostly it's black teenage. Really? Really? And you know this? So how about we look into stopping young teenage girls from getting pregnant in the first place?
Right.
They promote this almost.
Of course they do.
In these black communities,
of course
it's
they
terrible
do.
how they
is.
promote it and how they want these young black women to have this intercourse, have sex before marriage. You know, it's developing this culture and environment where they're almost like, oh, that's just a part of our life. Go to the abortion clinic. It's sad, and it's a form of it's in some ways I would argue it's a form of slavery to these women. And the
slaves of sin, slaves of sin. Look at Miss Winnie says this: people who look like me. And that's a little black. That's a black face. The icon. She said, people who look like me are the only group of people whose population declines every year. We kill ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That was the vision Margaret Sanger had, Miss Winnie. Mm-hmm. And the Democrats are embracing it. They're promoting it, like Caleb said.
Yep.
This is their plan.
Yep.
She wanted us monkeys to kill ourselves.
Yep.
And we've taken it hook, line, and sinker.
Yep.
Let's go a step further, too, because once a girl has had an abortion, the chances of her having a natural birth after that go down.
I've heard
That's
that.
awful.
It is. And, here's the other thing.
I've heard that, yeah.
Not only are they harvesting organs, sometimes to get the money for an abortion back in the 80s, and this is true.
Yeah.
There were abortion clinics that would tell a girl she's pregnant even when she wasn't and give her an abortion just for the $50.
Give her a what?
To have an abortion,
Oh,
like
gotcha.
a DNC,
Yeah.
even though she wasn't even pregnant. And that's why people like Joe Scheidler left his law practice and did sidewalk counseling because he knew what was going on in those places, and they'd try to get him removed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. But again, I think this will serve the country in one way. Now they got to talk about it.
Wake up.
Now they have to defend killing children in the womb now.
Yep.
And they're terrified of it. As long as they can go back on the Roe v. Wade decision, they didn't have to debate it, they didn't have to argue, they didn't have to use logic, they didn't have to make the argument. If Roe v. Wade goes away, now they have to make the argument. And their arguments are stupid.
Back in the 70s, when I was it was 80s when I was in high school, and me and another girl in our church on an evening, we did a focus on abortion to bring awareness of what was going on. It was not as prevalent as what people would bring up now, and all these things that were being spewed about, people in the church just didn't know, and we did a whole thing about it. And I remember when we were talking about this, we were warning, if you get to this point where this is legalized, it is just a slippery slope. It will be the handicapped, it will be the older people. If you're going to put a value on life in the womb and not protect it, outside the womb's not going to be protected
They have
either.
No respect for life.
No, it will be gone.
They don't. There's no dignity.
It's just
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about the uglier, more demonic, more black issues dealing with abortion. We talked about it a little bit, the harvesting of organs and the admitting that they had to keep the baby alive so they can make sure they had an intact brain, and crazy evil stuff. Miss Wendy put it up here. I don't know, had you guys ever heard of Stanley Plotkin?
I have not.
So she says today I watched Stanley Plotkin give deposition in the Schmidt case. He admitted to using baby blood and organ tissue and various jabs and said he's willing to go to hell for it.
Oh.
Never heard of him till today. Well, you know what, buddy? I'll see you when you go in. If that's your attitude, he's willing to go to hell for it. He's bought and paid for it. Listen, we haven't even talked about the satanic group in Texas who said that the abortion is part of their religious satanic practices. The side of abortion that when you start to devalue life and treat humans as nothing, it's such a dark, evil place.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't even talked about that. Only thing we talked about is how stupid the arguments are, how insane the arguments are, and it's this devotion to the killing of babies in the womb. And like Greg said, at least in the 70s and 80s and 90s, it was something that they would even admit was hard. And they tried to do it in the dark,
Right.
and they tried to be,
Right.
No one, it was hard to
There was
admit you
shame.
had, there was shame. Hey, that's what I'm looking for. There was shame. Now it's celebrated.
No, nothing shameful anymore.
Now it is, that's demonic. The celebrating of taking of innocent life. All right. Let us end on, as we always try to do, on a high note. All right. Give us some hope. Anybody from the
The fact
from the
that
table.
we're
All right.
talking about it now
Yes.
means that there is a fight back.
Yes. Exactly.
We're not
That's exactly what they don't
commentating
want.
on what's going on as if it's over. We're celebrating the fact that it is a current fight and we're fighting back.
Yes. Before we go any further, I just want to let people know we're on Spotify. And so we have a lot of, for such a time as this, on Spotify. Go to Spotify. Like these roundtables goes for like an hour. You can listen to it in your car. You can go and listen to all of the roundtables. This is roundtable number 66. So you can go all the way back as you're driving in your car.
snap.
Instead of listening to the radio with dumb commercials and stupid songs. I know I shouldn't say that. But anyway, you can listen to the podcast. On the podcast, all of our shows on Spotify are there. We'll continue to expand. All right, who else wants to close us with some hope here?
Well, I just think it's encouraging that the majority of the country doesn't want it, and all these heartbeat bills and state things that are showing up that are pushing back, and of course that's the one they're going to go and attack after. But that's hopeful.
It is. It is. Here's the hope. The fact is that at what Roe v. Wade, now we can at least start to talk about the issue. It is going to be front and center, and you could best believe it's in the midterms later on. Oh, if they actually do this, it's going to be front and center. And again, let the Democrats make the argument why it's perfectly okay and moral to take your baby's life in the womb. Go ahead, keep making the argument. They loved it when they didn't have to defend it and talk about it in the elections. Now you have to. And so I think the more they keep opening their mouth, the more the avalanche against abortion will continue to pick up momentum.
Yeah, I think this will be a big slap in the face if this gets reversed for them, because they got COVID, they got vaccines. I mean, this needs to be taken away from them. I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
They'll get nothing and like it. One of the quotes from Caddyshack.
And as always, we know that regardless of what happens, regardless who does what, there is a judge who sits high and looks low. There is nothing that escapes his notice. And one of the verses I put up a lot of times in our videos, I'll put it up now. John 28, John 5:28. Do not marvel at this, for an hour is coming when all who are in the tombs will hear his voice, the Son of Man, and they will come out, those who have done good to the resurrection of life, and those who have done evil to the resurrection of judgment.
Amen.
No one gets away. That's why we beg you now, please kiss the Son, get right with him, repent, and then you will not have to face his wrath in the coming life. All right, anything else before we go? Thank you all for listening.
God's still on the throne.
Thank you, Miss Winnie, for your comments, and we will be back next week, Lord willing. Till then, he's still on the throne. Thank you.